This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Good morning and happy Easter. I'm Justin Warmoth. It's clear Central Florida's housing has not kept up with its population boom as more and more families are getting priced out of the market. The situation even more dire when it comes to the availability of affordable housing. In fact, according to a new report of the 50 largest cities in the country, extremely low-income renters face the most severe shortages in Las Vegas, followed by Orlando. This morning, Ryan Von Weller with Wendover Housing Partners is here to discuss that report and the new affordable housing bill Governor DeSantis just signed that aims to ease the state's critical shortage. I just want to be clear with folks if they're a little confused about what affordable housing truly is. Can you define affordable housing for us?
Certainly. So, in the truest meaning of the term, affordable housing really is housing that is using either federal housing tax credits or state incentive money to really lower the rent to 60% of the area's median income or lower. So it's designed to serve that particular demographic, and the subsidy and or the other benefits you get from the state or federal government help you do that on a regular basis. So it's not artificially capping a rent, it's actually a program designed to meet that rent structure.
Right. And we know that the shortage of affordable housing units has only gotten worse over the last few years. The pandemic really made things tricky. And in today's economy, with inflation where it is, everything's more expensive, and really 70% of the inflation is from the housing, what they call the shelter inflation is driving this. I'm curious how things are going now, and since I last talked to you about a year ago, how it's gotten better or worse since then here in the Orlando Metro.
In the Orlando Metro, I would like to say it's gotten a lot better, but it hasn't. That's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of governmental intervention or for what we're doing. The net influx of people here has actually increased since last time we spoke significantly. So, weekly we're seeing thousands of people move to Florida, and there's just not a way to house everyone that needs it. Right. So the measures that have been taken by the government in especially the last few months are really going to assist in that. But overall, we're still in a very crisis mode here with affordable housing.
I mean, according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, extremely low income renters face the most severe shortages, first in Las Vegas, second in Orlando. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these two cities rely heavily on tourism, right?
I think you nailed it, right? Yeah. So they're both service-based economies. So you've got lower wage earners, and you've got a high cost of living in both Orlando and Las Vegas. So when those two things come together, you see kind of a lack of what housing stock is really needed for the employee base locally.
I just want to be clear, extremely low income renters, that's what we are focused on when it comes to this report, at least this statistic.
Right.
And that means what?
So, 60% AMI or lower. So if you take the area's median income, 60% of that, that's your affordable housing demographic. And then you go into the even further set asides with the ELI units, which is the extremely low income, which could be 35 to 30% of the area's median income. So some of these families are making $35,000 a year total between maybe two earners in the family. Or a single earner.
And likely working 40 hours a week.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So you're seeing a real disconnect between the wages and what people can earn even working full-time or more than full-time, maybe working two jobs, and what they're able to afford locally.
I'm curious what other cities that are a little bit, now Florida's not unique. I think the entire nation is dealing with a shortage. But when we look at Florida, it's towards the bottom of the list, unfortunately. But the states who are doing things, and maybe it's not as bad there, what are they doing that really sticks out to you that you feel like we could emulate?
I think Florida is on the forefront of different thinking and paradigm shifting the way we build and fund affordable housing. Florida's just in a position right now where there's so many people and there's so much going on here. But the legislature just took significant action, which is the biggest housing bill Florida's seen probably in a generation. And I believe the Fed's going to follow, the Treasury Department's going to follow with some additional monies as well. So when you combine those two things, I think you'll see Florida at the forefront of how we get this problem solved, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
It takes a full team effort between local, state, and federal. And this is not relying on one piece of the government. I mean, you have to have everything involved in working in collaboration on this. But the bill that was just signed, the Live Local Act, Senate Bill 102, obviously you like this bill, right? What sticks out about this bill that makes things easier for not only low-income earners, but you who develop these affordable housing units?
That's right. So SB 102 really was the brainchild of Senator Pasadomo, who's the current Senate president, and had the backing of the House and of the governor, which is rare. When
Yeah, it's
something comes in
bipartisan.
second.
Yeah.
Certainly. It passed the Senate unanimously and the House almost unanimously. So what we've seen with this bill is not only new tranches of capital that'll help us build more units. It incentivizes local governments to encourage affordable housing within existing buildings. It provides sale tax rebates if you're going to provide truly affordable housing and restrict these units. It gives local governments the ability to change zoning in future land use districts without having to go to Tallahassee.
How key is that?
It's huge.
Yeah.
So, in the last few years, the market in multifamily in Central Florida particularly has been driven by land costs. So a lot of the national builders have been coming in and buying sites that local builders and affordable housing guys would have bought before, but because the market was so hot and rents are so high, they're coming in and buying it. So there's been really no inventory of land available. So the ability for local government to help create that land, pretty straightforward. And the bill is very clear as to what they want local governments to do. So I think that's going to be a really big shift in what goes on.
Affordable housing, we're talking about the land issue. Density is a word that I think a lot of people just don't like, or they're, when it comes to population density and things like that. But when it comes to affordable housing, how critical is it to have a dense population or at least a living situation to address this?
Certainly. So, with the typical tools we have in the affordable housing toolkit until recently, we can only do anywhere from 80 to 120, maybe up to 150 units is kind of our sweet spot with the amount of funding that's allocated per deal. With the new program that Senator Pasadomo and the legislature and Governor DeSantis passed, we have a project with Universal. We're doing 1,000 units, right?
Yeah.
The density there is 50 units per acre, which for Central Florida is very, very atypical. It's very rare. In Miami, not so much, right? That's the standard.
Right.
But in Central Florida, 20 units an acre, if you're going to be in a typically suburban environment, is typically where you ended up. So 50 is a big jump, but that's the kind of project that this bill is meant to encourage.
How soon do you think we'll see some impacts from this?
Hopefully immediately.
I mean, I know it goes into effect July 1st.
That's right, but we believe that local governments, at least the more sophisticated ones, are already planning for the zoning language and to come into effect. Florida Housing, who's kind of the clearinghouse of all affordable housing dollars in Florida, and rightfully so, was given kind of purview over all this new money and how to allocate it. So their typical process, which all the affordable housing developers are used to running, will now include additional RFAs and RFPs for monies that were allocated in this bill. So hopefully before end of year, we're going to see a significant amount of this money on the street.
So obviously a great start here as we work to address this. Is there anything that you feel like that's in this bill that you don't necessarily like or that maybe is missing?
We were able to work with the Senator Pasadomo's office a little bit with our team in Tallahassee. Some of the things in there were nuances that were going to prevent the desired effect from occurring, and we were able to get those changed or modified slightly. Just small things that if you don't do this every day, it wouldn't make sense, but we were able to identify those pretty quickly. I know there's been some kickback from some members of the House about rent control and things like that and things, but we don't really operate in that environment, and what we're doing is truly affordable. So for our industry and what we do, this is a great bill.
Von Weller and Wendover Housing Partners teamed up with Universal Orlando to build a new affordable housing community on theme park property. We'll have details on the project and much more right after this. Stay with us.
This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Welcome back. Like much of the country, Florida has a critical shortage of affordable housing, especially in Orlando's service-based economy. That's why both Disney and Universal are devoting land and capital to ease the housing crunch. Ryan Von Weller with Wendover Housing Partners is back now to talk about his company's partnership with Universal to develop an affordable housing community called Catchlight Crossings.
So Universal had about a 20-acre site that they kicked around for years that they never were able to come up with a real solid plan for, just south of the new Epic Universe. And they came to Orange County with a plan and said, we'd like to make this an affordable housing development. They put out an initial RFQ, had maybe 15 respondents to it, narrowed that field down, had private presentations beyond there. And after that process, we were selected. So what Universal ultimately did was take this property, which is appraised at $20-25 million ultimately, and right across from the convention center, and gave us a 99-year lease if we were going to build affordable housing on it for $10. So when you have that kind of commitment from a large-scale employer and a major, just a huge boost to the overall capital stack of the project, because you don't have to pay for the land, and you've got Universal behind you helping out. So they're able to work with us on the design, on some land use things with Orange County. They've been great partners, and that's the kind of project that we'd like to see more of happening around the state.
I mean, when it comes to real estate, it's location, location, location. The location of this, though, talk about how critical that is, not only for the folks who are going to live there, but just the surrounding communities, and it comes to traffic and things like that as well.
It's huge. So when we went to Florida Housing with this development, after we got the award, they had already told us that we identified this area as ground zero of lack of affordable housing. The land is too expensive, the rents are too expensive, and you have 100,000 plus workers coming into this corridor on I-Drive and the convention center every day. A lot on public transport, a lot sharing a car with a spouse, or maybe take their kids to school, and it's very difficult for them. So to provide 1,000 units right at the core and the epicenter of the employment base of that entire tourist district is just huge.
I also saw that signed a 10-year lease with the Bezos Academy.
That's right.
Talk about this.
Sure. So the Bezos Academy is a Montessori preschool, obviously funded by Jeff Bezos. So it is a totally free tuition Montessori preschool. We were one of the first to sign up with them, but since then they've opened up a few smaller locations around the state of Florida. We hope this will be one of their just main developments. Obviously, with the amount of people and the amount of attention this project is going to get, it will be. But we're going to have about 8,000 to 10,000 square feet of Montessori preschool there. So not only will our residents be able to enroll their children there, but neighborhood residents will be as well.
What else will be involved in Catchlight?
What's really unique about Catchlight and different from a lot of affordable housing is that we've got what we call a day in the life. So we've got a full circle of services in the actual community. So community health centers, which is a local provider, a federally qualified health center of all sorts of different medical needs for the residents, will be on site there in about 10 to 12,000 square feet. We're hoping to get a grocer on site as well. We're also hoping for some other convenience retail and other things that the residents are going to need on a daily basis, so they don't have to venture out into the I-Drive corridor to get services.
As this economy, and I want to go back to the economy right now, is everything's more expensive. We know that rates significantly higher, and I'm curious how that's affecting development, A, and B, if it's making more people now falling into this category to receive affordable housing from the government's point of view.
So from our point of view, the tax credit has a tangible value. So we basically exchange the tax credit for equity into our developments. And the value of the tax credit has gone down as interest rates have gone up. And other various economic factors have weighed into that over the last year or two as well. So when we get $1 of tax credits, where we used to get 94, 95 cents on the dollar, maybe down to 90, maybe a little sub 90. So the lack of equity there prevents you from building more units. That's problem one. For the average consumer, of course, the ability to buy a home is now diminished. Your down payment, where it was 20%, you'll be able to afford the monthly payment at X for a long time. You can't do that anymore when interest rates have doubled over the past year. So it's a very difficult proposition for a lot of folks to get into a single-family home right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Is Catchlight number one on? Back to that. I'm sorry for flip-flopping on you, but I'm curious about Catchlight Crossings and you're obviously the main developer on this, and so is that number one priority right now? What else is in the pipeline?
So we've got 1,000 units there.
Yeah.
We have over 1,000 units in probably 4 to 6 other projects ongoing right now as well. And we are starting to work with some other municipalities and larger scale employers as well to kind of duplicate on a smaller scale what Catchlight was able to do. So I think a lot of area businesses around the state of Florida have seen the impact that this kind of project can have and are starting to reach out and starting to internally think about how can we participate in something similar to this.
From the last time we spoke to now, I think your optimism level, and maybe it is the bill that was just signed, Live Local Act, maybe that is it, but it seems like your optimism level is a lot higher than this time last year.
Sure, I think that's a big part of it. So they identified it as a $711 million bill, right? And some of that is ongoing, recurring, where every year we're going to see hundreds of millions of dollars come back into affordable housing that weren't there before. She's also got one-time bullets in there that are going to help fill some gaps that have been, caused over the last couple of years of inflationary costs of construction. And you're going to see just the ability to do a lot more types of affordable housing a lot quicker. I mean, there's single-family provisions in there for the Hometown Heroes program. I mean, they really hit a multitude of ways to help fix this problem. With
this shortage, if someone falls into the category yet there's no availability, there's no space, what do they have to resort to? Where are they living now? Or are they living in their cars? How are they living?
That happens, right? It's very sad. A lot of our developments have wait lists far in excess of hundreds of people. Right? We got one that has almost 600 people in Apopka. And that's a very sad state of affairs, right? But it just goes to show what the need is out there. So you see a lot of short-term rentals. I know Kissimmee has had a lot of these short-term motels convert into affordable housing over time, and all these things help. But you can't fix it with a magic bullet, right? It's going to take all the different kinds of productivity of the housing stock. So what I think is going to be encouraged in the future, including affordable housing into the more Class B, Class A minus multifamily product is kind of going to be what's going to happen in the future.
Listen, I think I know the answer to this, but for our viewers, why wouldn't a developer who's making a high-rise downtown, why wouldn't they want to include at least a portion of that to go towards affordable housing?
Socially, it makes perfect sense, right?
Right.
However, economically, if you're going to charge rent that's half of market, effectively, or 60% of market, that can really affect your pro forma, especially in today's world. High interest rates, high cost of construction. So it may not pencil out. So part of SB 102's goal was to say, listen, if you're going to do some of these affordable units, we're going to give you an ad valorem tax break. We're going to make these things better for you, give you a sales tax break on those units. So they're trying to encourage that, but the bottom line is it just may not make the project pencil out.
Sure. And listen, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the economy is going to look like. We don't know what the state of America will be in 20 years or so, but it seems like that's obviously the ultimate goal is to have the availability for the people who need it the most, right? I mean, that's your goal, and that's, I'm sure, the goal of a lot of folks.
Certainly.
Just so they can live and not have to worry and be so cost burdened.
You may never get to that point.
Sure.
But all we can do is keep our head down and keep moving forward. And when you have partnerships at the state of Florida level, here in Orange County, we're very fortunate to have staff that really understands this issue and is really dedicated to helping solve it. And as long as we all keep continuing to work, in conjunction and moving toward the goal, we'll see significant progress. But I can't tell you that we're ever going to be able to solve it wholly. I mean, it's an issue that's probably going to be ongoing forever.
And my thanks to Ryan for his time this week. For more information on Catchlight Crossings and the new affordable housing bill just signed by the governor, head to clickorlando.com/weekly. I'm Justin Warmoth. Hope you have a great Easter Sunday.